Yo guys, what is going on? It is Invin here, and today what I'm bringing to you all is my honest first impressions of the brand new Barnacles and Blackpowder expedition. Now, for those of you that aren't yet aware, this was released earlier yesterday onto the PTR, or yesterday evening, so I've just managed to jump on today, have a playthrough of this expedition in its entirety, and I've literally just played through it once, so I want to give you like my raw first impressions and initial thoughts on this. And I'd be really interested for any of you that have either played it or seen somebody playing it, whether you've watched a stream or a video. Of course, there will be some gameplay in the background of today's video, but I'm not going to try and give away too many spoilers here, just in case you want to hear a kind of quick summary without, you know, all of the in-depth stuff. So let me know your thoughts on it as well down below in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe, and let's jump into it. So firstly, you start off the expedition. The first things you'll notice is obviously the beautiful aesthetic. One thing that New World never fails to amaze on is the artwork and the level design. It is absolutely amazing in here. There's things like endless waterfalls going around. There's lots of plants worked into the architecture of the actual expedition itself, as well as kind of water-driven pathways. Obviously, with it being the Lost, they're kind of like the dead pirate type things. You've got your alligators, your ghosts, all that kind of thing. And it's very, very cool. If you think Dead Man's Cove type style or something similar to that, where, you know, you've kind of got that dead pirate theme, but this is absolutely stunning, this expedition. The music and ambience of it felt very, very cool as well, and fitted nicely to give you a very cool overall kind of audio experience along with the visual, and that worked really, really nicely. Now, the next thing that's kind of obvious is, like I said there, this is the Lost type of enemy, and this is the first Lost expedition that we've actually seen in New World. So all of the other ones have been corrupted or, you know, Angry Earth like Genesis. This is the very first Lost version that we've seen, which is cool for a number of different reasons. But as you can see in the gameplay, I was playing a mage using a fire staff and an ice gauntlet. Now, obviously, if you're going for mutations, you'd probably want your mage to be running a void gauntlet most of the time. But this was a really, really good way to do it with the ice and the fire, because it meant that I had basically the ice for most of the Lost mobs, and there was a couple in there of frozen ghosts, so they were able to be taken out more quickly with the fire staff, and it worked very, very nicely. Now, obviously, there is other viable combos too, but that's just what I played, and I really had a lot of fun using that build in this expedition. Now, this is also fun because it means it's a new set that players want to build if they are going for the end game completion of all of the expeditions and mutations, etc. You know, you're going to want to get a Lost Ward set if that's the type of thing that you like doing, and of course, getting weapons with Lost Bane on to be able to fight against these mobs more efficiently. And of course, in turn with this, the expedition has brought its own brand new loot, which I will be going over in a separate video very, very shortly. But overall, it does look to be quite promising for some nice end game drops, because again, this is an end game expedition, which is very, very cool indeed. Now, the kind of flow of the dungeon, you start off fairly steady. You have a couple of mini-bosses throughout, which are actually fairly easy to kill. They have got some very cool moves, though, especially the earlier mini-bosses. You see some of them have kind of a rapier-type weapon and almost have the player-like abilities, so they have the flurry and that sort of stuff, and it is very cool to see. It's quite a unique experience in the world of Eternum, so I really enjoyed fighting against those mobs, and I think that was a very nice touch. You go through these and you complete some kind of mini puzzles, if you will, trying to find levers for doors, that sort of stuff, talking to NPCs, going through the story of it, and then you start to come to the main bulk of it, where there's bigger packs of mobs around, and of course your first, or the first boss of the expedition, which is about, I would say, 60 or 70% of the way through, so you've got quite a lot of normal mobs to clear, and this expedition isn't overly long. It took us about 35 minutes on our first ever run, all of us in the group. We just got the random group together on the PTR. Big shout to those guys, fun playing with them. And essentially we just ran through it for the first time, almost blind, if you will. We didn't have any guides, any maps, so this was kind of a first raw impression of it, and it was a lot of fun. About 35 minutes. I think you could easily take this down to about 25 minutes with, obviously, you know, on your regular version, that is, you know, with proper planning and kind of preparation for this. And I think on mutations, you could easily smash this out in 30 to 35 minutes, depending, of course, upon your gear setup and the rest of it. But this is a very, very cool expedition, and I think is going to be giving similar vibes and flow to Garden of Genesis. I would say is the most closely feeling-wise to this expedition. But I also think that the mobs obviously give it a completely different atmospherical feel as well, which is very, very cool. Now, the first big boss fight that you will have with kind of the main boss that's not the big end boss is a very cool one indeed. It's a big ogre type thing, almost looks like Davy Jones's big brother sort of thing. He's very cool indeed, and he has a lot of HP, very cool mechanics which are very unique to this expedition. It's not something we've seen in any other boss fights before, and I think that makes the boss fight stand out. If you haven't done many expeditions in New World, maybe you're coming back to the game, or you're someone that's done a lot of them, either way you're going to be surprised by this fight, and that is something that I really enjoyed, and I think they've done a fantastic job of making it seem fun and interactive with certain parts. Again, without spoiling it, you'll see maybe a little bit from the gameplay here without going into too much depth, but then also they've made it a way that you can work it out pretty quickly and be able to defeat this boss on your first go. But I think on Mutations it's going to be particularly challenging, which I am looking forward to indeed. Now, again, just to kind of go to the next boss, we'll zoom ahead. There is parts in between that which are very cool. Again, lots of great map design in there as well, which is really awesome. But the final boss fight is the big meat of this, and that was actually quite tricky. It was okay once we learnt the mechanics. Some of the mechanics from this, like there is lightning, which is similar to the Siren's Stand, and again, obviously that's a lost mob, so you can kind of get a rough idea of what you're going to be facing. But this boss also has whirlwinds, it also has jumping attacks, it has the kick similar to the Siren Queen as well, but it also has a few unique moves too, and it makes for quite a challenging and engaging fight. Again, we did manage to do this first time, thankfully, because obviously on the PTR they give you maxed out gear, so it's a little bit easier, but this was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed engaging with this, trying to work out the mechanics, and the arena for the end of it is very cool. I couldn't see any obvious spots where you'd be able to hide or anything like that and cheese it, so that is also a big win. So overall, I really enjoyed the dungeon. I thought it was a really cool addition to the game. I really like that it's lost, as that is unique to all of the others, which I think is a huge W for the game, because, you know, it gives people the ability to build an extra set and extra weapons with Lost being on, for those of them that do like doing the expeditions. And also it gives us another bit of story to go along with one of the other mob factions in the game, which I really liked. I also like that it's down in Cutlass Keys. It gives a bit more reason to move around the map and go to other places. Of course, you've got the fast travel shrine there with repeatable quests as well to do within this expedition, which is super cool. And like I said, the loot was looking pretty juicy, but I will cover that in another video because I think it's worth it. There's some very good finds in there, but overall, great. Felt fun, looked fun. Overall, I really enjoyed playing through it. Obviously, I'll have to play through this a few more times to give my overall judgment, but first impressions is that this is going to be a fantastic addition to the game, and of course with the group finder, which I haven't yet tested out fully, but so far that seems pretty cool as well. This could be a really good patch and update for New World, and I am super excited for the summer update to come to the live servers. But that is going to be it for today's video, guys. Make sure you're liking and subscribing if you haven't already done so. Both those things hugely help to support my channel, so I'd really appreciate it. And other than that, I'd like to thank you for your time, thank you for watching, and I will catch you again very shortly on a brand new upload. So take care and peace.